I've been working so hard, I haven't even been trying to keep in shape. You know how it is hard to keep things balanced in your life? So y'all know, some of you know what I'm talking about. You know, you're out trying to make it happen, it's easy to lose balance. Sometimes, I don't even know if balance really exists for people trying to make it happen. The reality is that we're all here tonight. It's not normal to be here on a Wednesday night, in the middle of a hotel room. But I'm so grateful you're here. And I'm grateful that we're not normal. And I'm grateful that we're talking about Momentous, because the reality is that Momentous is working. The reality, and I'm going to talk about it all the time, what's really happening. What's real about this company is that it's taken off, that the timing is now to get involved. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about where I came from, because I want everybody in here to know that you are at the perfect place at the perfect time. You're the perfect person. We don't care what your background is. And that's good or bad. Some of you have been really successful, and you're like, you want to be treated differently? Computer doesn't recognize that, I'm sorry. Some of you have never had success and don't have any money in the bank, and you've had to borrow money to get in the business. The computer doesn't care, doesn't recognize that. The computer cares whether you're giving us customers, and we'll trade you a bunch of money for it. Which for some people, it's the first time in your life you ever had an equal opportunity, a real opportunity. An opportunity to do something great. And I'm going to tell you something, I've lived both ways. I've lived without money, I've lived with money. You want me to get that? There you go. I've lived with money and without money, and it stinks living without money. It's horrible. It's much better to have money. I'm telling you straight up right now. Much better. It's much better that you don't have to think about what you're ordering when you order the food. How many of you still look at prices? Just try to look cool, but you don't have to. Because I want some of you to recognize, 3 years ago today, if you had asked me, I wasn't looking at prices. You know why? Because I wasn't in a restaurant. No way I was going to a restaurant. 3 years ago. 3 years ago. 18 years ago, I started network marketing. Hit it out of the park on my first time ever. Didn't know even what it was about. Had no idea where the company was located. Didn't know anything about what I was doing. I was just so hungry for something in life. I had no other options, I'll be honest. If people ask me, Andy, why do you think you made it and other people didn't? Even today, I'll tell you, I think one of the top things you can do in your life is convince yourself you have no other options. Because network marketing's hard. It is hard. And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because you're here tonight, you thought you had 4 people showing up with you and they didn't come. You were saving seats. No, they're definitely coming. Because they told me they were going to be here. So don't sit there, lady. I've got somebody coming. You still got your jacket laying there, right? You know what it's like? It's hard, man. Your aunt, your uncle, your friend, your brother, sister, whoever it is said no about being a customer because of a half a penny that doesn't even exist in real life. We don't have half a penny currency, but yet that half a penny can ruin your whole day. And so it's not easy. And I thought it was going to be easy, because when I first got started, I was so hungry. When I made it happen, I started telling you, I had all these broke friends. They're all broke and dumb like me, right? Totally ignorant to how the world lived. No idea that you couldn't just go out and make something of yourself and do what you want to do. So we went out, we started with this company, and it was $700 some to get started. I just want to give you a quick story. And so I signed up, had to borrow every penny to get started. I had minus $19 in the bank when I signed those checks to get started. My wife came out and she came home and she said, what'd you do? And I said, I wrote checks, 2 checks at a time, $700. She goes, where's the money? And I go, baby, I'll find the money, don't worry about that. I called my dad. My dad says, well, what'd you do, son? I said, Dad, I own my own business. You'll be so proud of me. But I need some help. He said, what kind of business is it? And I told him what the name was, how it worked, what was going on. He's like, oh, it's one of those pyramid things. Okay, I don't know what you call it. Whatever it is, it sounded really great to me. And my coach that showed me was showing me how I could make money. And I got my buddy Leon going, I got all these guys, it's going to be great. He goes, son, those things are illegal. You can go to jail. At this point, I had 11 guys in my business. I was sold out to my wife that this was our future. So I said, the only thing that you would say to in that situation, I said, yeah, but before I go, I want to make some money. Nobody was going to give me a job for anything worth anything. I grew up in families where it was feast or famine in my family. My dad was an entrepreneur, but the kind of entrepreneur that would try something, get bored, and then we'd go do something else that wouldn't work, so we'd lose everything we had. It was just back and forth. And then all my aunts and uncles that called him crazy He was the wild goose, the guy that was out there doing all this stuff. They were the ones that had the steady jobs. They were responsible people. And none of them had money. That's where we learned the spaghetti thing from our family. It was always limited. You know, we're going to Disney World, but we're all going to drive because we like being cramped up in this one car. I grew up in a family that was just very normal. I mean, I had all the love in the world. So when I wanted to go do my own business, my mom and dad said, we love you, you can do anything you want to do in life. But I had no other option, and so I couldn't quit. Buddies that I started with, they quit because they had other options. One of my best friends in the world, to this day, one of my best friends, that I just don't see much because I'm working so much. He literally got a job with Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson was his first job. And it was $42,000 benefits in a company minivan. And we had been working for a year together every day of our life trying to build our network marketing business. And he gets this job and quits on me. He comes and tells me, I got to go to work. My wife said I got to get a job. And he showed me that contract. I'll never forget thinking, I was like, man, you're going to sell out on your dream, man. You can't go with that. You got to stay with me. We're fighting. We're telling everybody about this. You got to stay with it. What are you, crazy? And all I kept thinking in the back of my mind was, I wish I had that job offer. I would do anything for somebody to pay me $42,000, guaranteed. Because I know how hard it is to live like that. When you're doing something different, it gets the grain from everybody else. You know, there are millions of people that live on this island right now that we're on. And all of them want to be special. Everybody wants to have money. Everybody's out hustling, right? This is New York City, man. But so very few people actually do consistently the hard stuff to make it happen. Everybody's looking short term. Everybody's looking for something to happen now. So 18 years ago when I started, I had that same mentality. And the only reason why I stayed the course is because I had no other options. But it led to this incredible lifestyle that I didn't even understand what's happening right in front of me. I was a college student making money that I didn't even let myself think I could make. Because I caught a company on the way up. And I rode that, man, like it was no tomorrow. And now here I am smarter. I understand what I'm doing. I can train people. I can help them. I've made a ton of money. And now I can't do anything right because the company's on the way down. I'm going to tell everyone in this room right now, you cannot do enough yourself individually to stop a network marketing company from a downward fall. Once it's on its way down, it has to fundamentally change in order for it to go back up, reinvent itself. And so this company started going down. I was working harder, spending less time at home, spending all the money I had made, trying to create it back. I couldn't do it. So finally I said, that's it. It left me. It closed its doors. I went to another company. Some of you might know, it doesn't matter. 3 letters, and starts with A, ends with N. Anyway, you see what I'm saying. A-C-N, get it right. Some of you get it later. I went to that company. They cut me an incredible deal. And I was in front of thousands of people again. One of the top earners, 6 figures a month. Man, I was like, I couldn't believe it had happened to me. And I was so happy. I was so happy that I got arrogant. And I left. And I said, I'm going to go start my own, man. Now I'm so good at this, I'm going to go start my own. Had $1 million with me. So I'm going to go put this $1 million in this business. I'm going to be the next great person to start a network marketing company. Within 6 months, I had nothing left. Zero. Zilch. And I went from having all the brand new cars. You know, every year I would see a new car. I'd be like, I'm going to go get that car. I'd buy cars. I'd call up the dealership and say, do you have a car that's this color, this color, this? It was always black on black and this. Yes, you do great. Okay, I'll take that one. My wife's going to come by and write you a check and pick it up. How many people have done that, right? It's a lifestyle I had, man. And they would go, what do you do? Are you an athlete? Are you a drug dealer? Where are you? I said, I'm a network marketer. I wore it like a badge of honor. And then all of a sudden it was gone. Gone. Just from a decision that I made. So much about network marketing during that time, I can't even tell you. But I had ridden the wave. I'd done everything. I'd been a representative. I said, okay, I'm done. I can't go back into the grind of building a business. So I said, let me go consult. That's what everybody does when they're broken. You gotta go back, right? I'm gonna consult. I actually got jobs too. You know, people paid me to come in and consult them. It was unbelievable. Most of them were trying to be the next Motivee, the next juice company. I went and I started looking at them and I was like, man, every company out here stinks. That's what I kept telling everybody. You want to be a rep boss? We'll give you money for you. No, I don't want to be a rep, but thank you for paying me. Thank you very much. Nice seeing you. I'd walk out the door and never look back. And then finally one of my buddies called me and he had started a company called Ignite in Texas. They were killing it. In their 4th or 5th year, 3rd year, whatever it was, making $800 million a year in revenues. I was like, wow, how do you do this? And so he explained to me about energy. And when I was watching, I thought, that's the only thing that makes sense in today's environment. But I knew he didn't have the right formula. So I said, the only way I'll do it, let's do a new company. So we named Momentous. You know what Momentous is? The first Momentous was my company that went broke. My own little way to get back at it, you know. We're gonna build Momentous one way or another. But the key here was the partnership with Just Energy, was the parent company. And then the idea that we could go everywhere that's deregulated and then keep going even in places that weren't. And go start to build common sense approach. All my experience led to that moment when I said, it's got to be to where you don't have to talk anybody into using it, you don't have to train them into why it's important, and you don't have to remind them to pay their bill. Those are the only services I wanted to deal with. And what do we have now today? Wouldn't you say that's what we have today? That's all we're going to have. We have so many more lined up. I believe in the model also that you should do, we want to pay you for almost doing nothing. Think about it. To where when you become an independent rep, try the services that we have, get a couple other customers, and then we pay you a bunch of money. At some point in the near future, when we have 12 or 15 different services out there, a new rep will join, take a bunch of these services, 10 of those services, get a couple other customers, mom, dad, sister, brother, and we'll give them $3 grand, $2 grand, $5 grand. Who knows what it'll be at that time? What do you think will happen to your business when we hit that point? Every single one of you sits in here, at some point when that happens, what do you think is going to happen to your residual income when people are getting paid that kind of money to come in and get a few customers? Especially when most of those loyal customers are the rep themselves. Doesn't make sense? All of you, every single one of you, is already an expert at these services. You already use them every day. You're already, it's the perfect plan as far as I was concerned. I didn't want to go back, but then I thought to myself, okay, my buddy Chris says, hey Andy, because I was so broke and it was so brutal at the time, eating a lot of spaghetti, all that stuff, losing cars, waking up one morning, cars going out of the driveway, house getting repossessed, kids, wondering how I'm going to keep them in the school that they were in, the private school they were in, and how embarrassing that was. Wondering every time that every teacher looked at you, they're wondering, that's the deadbeat that's not paying kind of feel. It's horrible, right? And yet we were going through this, and Chris said, Andy, listen, man, I know you need it, so why don't you come over and we'll make you vice president of marketing. And I'll give you a couple $100 grand a year, plus benefits, plus this, plus that. And you know what I told him? No. All I want is to be the first rep. Let me be the first rep. And then if we build it, great. If we don't, it's my fault. And let's go build together. And so we started April 17, 2010. In our first year, I lived in Fort Myers, Florida. We opened up in Ontario, and I kept traveling back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It got so bad, literally, I would walk into the Fort Myers airport, and the American Airlines girls would just have, they'd pull my ticket, I'd go, here you go, Andy. I'd say, thank you. I didn't have to check in anymore. How many people have that in their family? Right? I started recognizing flight crews. I'd sit down in my seat and people come back, hey, Andy. Oh, hey, how you doing, Susie, on a double from Toronto? Gotcha. And it was crazy. My kids, who I adore, I married my high school sweetheart. We've been together since she was 15, I was 16. We have 4 beautiful kids that I absolutely love being around every second of every day. I would love to be around them all the time. I've had great friends. I say I have. I had great friends a couple of years ago. I haven't even seen most of those people. And some of you go, well, I don't want to do this, man, if it's going to take that. Well, you're right, you don't. But you want what I've got. You want to have that kind of freedom. You want the kind of money that can change families forever. You want to have choices, and to have choices to create a business like we're talking about that's going to go worldwide, that where the sun will not set on your business in the very near future, where you'll get paid in pounds sterling, in euros, in yen, in pesos, in US dollars, Canadian dollars. But Momentous, I'm not playing games. I'm not doing this as just a side venture. We're talking about life-changing opportunity. Stuff that affects your very people you love the most. If I asked you to walk along the ledge around this building for one of your loved ones, if their life depended on it, everybody would be like, okay, how am I going to get out there? Let me get out there. I'm going to go across this ledge like this, or I'm going to go like that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to find a way, right? You're going to at least attempt. And yet some people will quit on an opportunity because a customer didn't go through the way they thought. Or somebody no-showed them. Or somebody made fun of them because they're in network marketing. They will not make fun of you when you become successful. They'll call you lucky. You go from being an idiot to lucky real fast. And I'm going to tell you something, I don't know any other industry on the planet that'll pay you the kind of money that our industry does, and certainly not a company like Momentous. For the kind of money we're paying right now, this early in the game, is unmatched. And when you make that money and you start having that, like some of our leaders do, who are the examples we put up here, so you can see, having TPC member Marty Hale up here, having Elena Fraga up here, having the leaders here from New York, that's why we do it, so you can talk to them and you can see all the different levels. I'm going to tell you something, nobody in their right mind would laugh at that kind of lifestyle. Can you imagine having the kind of money to do anything you want to do? And just for a moment, I know this is hard for New Yorkers because you guys are so real, like you don't even, so skeptical. Everybody says to me, and New York's different, man. Skeptical, man. We don't tell you we're tough. We're skeptical. I've watched grown New Yorkers cry to me when they get their check sometimes. It is real. And it is happening. And it is up to you to get your piece of it. This is your chance to do it, but you're going to have to fight for it. There are going to be challenges. Network marketing, I don't know what it is, will find your weakness and hit you right there. If you're a professional and you're afraid to look silly, it's going to make you look silly. I don't know how. If you're a perfectionist, then everything's going to go wrong in the back office. It's just the way it is, man. Look, if we weren't growing, we're the fastest growing company in network marketing right now. The fastest growing in the entire industry. Do you think there are going to be challenges? Of course there are challenges. Aren't there challenges at your business now that you work your job? Do people just walk out all the time? Wouldn't that be stupid? You're $75,000 to work at an engineer firm. A mistake. Well, I'm out. I'm done. I quit. I'm out. That's the second mistake in a year. I'm out. It's crazy. Most people's jobs exist to take care of the issues from the mistakes that are being made. If everything went great, then we would not be growing. And the reason why I'm telling you is that because I want to prepare you for the real opportunity. Is that when we don't have those issues, when everything comes together, and it's coming, when all those new services we're talking about, things in the next 6 months will be done to Momentous. We'll launch things that'll make every other network marketing company that competes anywhere close to what we do look like a mom and pop shop. It'll make them look like they're running it out of their garage. Because we have a $3 billion giant that has bet their future on us. They're talking about joint ventures with companies where we own the technology that when they were telling me this, I was literally, really? Just like I kept saying, really? Because why do you keep saying? I go, no, it's really good. Really? Oh my gosh. I kept thinking to myself, and here I am, I've been from day one, I keep thinking to myself, I start getting that feeling like, man, I don't want to miss this. I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, the person, the biggest earner in our company, the top earner in the history of our company is not even in yet. Think about that. Who wants to sign him up? Do you know what it would do to you and your family if you found that person in your organization? Do you know what would happen? If she is the one that comes into your group? I mean, I think, who knows? Male, female, I don't care.
You're right.
Bring it on. Because in the next couple of years, as we add those services, as we continue to grow and build the infrastructure at the corporate side, as our comp plan keeps growing, everybody hear that? As we continue to add new promos, give new things away, add new incentives, launch all the areas in North America, launch Mexico, launch Europe, launch Asia, as we go around the world with our opportunity, all you're going to think about is, I should have done more. I should have done more. This is the most unbelievable opportunity to come along in generations. I don't want you to think for 1 second I'm standing here arrogantly. Everything I'm talking about is because I've learned either through mistakes or other people doing great things. I'm telling you straight up. I don't know if I've had an original thought in my head in years. Because I don't need to have one, and nor do you. You don't have to figure this out. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just got to work the business. But you got to work it even if you don't feel like it. You got to work the business even on down days. Take it one day at a time. If you're having a horrible day, by the way, quit for that day. Start over the next. Have a better day. But you've got to stay the course. And you've got to find your passion. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you do that, this company is going to blow your mind. In the next 3 to 5 years, we will be the largest network marketing company on the planet Earth. And you'll be a part of it. at about $200 million in revenue. We grew from 9 million on August 3rd to today over 200 million. That's how fast it's growing. We still haven't hit critical mass. We're going to hit critical mass. When we do that, we're going to grow, like I said, to multi-billions of dollars. In the next 36 months, I have us growing somewhere between $3 and $5 billion. 200 million to 5 billion, there's a lot of dollars in between there, isn't it? How much of it do you want to be yours? Think about it. We'll have millions of customers. What do we pay on customers? 50 cents, buck, $2, unlimited all the way down to $1.50. Think about it. How much do you want it to be where you're receiving it? For right now, just for one moment, here the Skeptical New York part, then I have to ask you to do this. Just imagine that tomorrow you wake up and you got a deposit from Momentous. And it was your weekly deposit for 50 grand. Just for a moment, try to do it. I know this is hard for New Yorkers, I get it. I can't, man. I tried, I can't do it. That's BS, man. I can't do it. I can't do it. Yes, you can. Just for one moment, suspend your disbelief and imagine. Focus for 1 second and say, I got 50 grand. Just popped up. And then 1 week from tomorrow, another 50 grand hits your bank. And then 1 week after that, another 50 grand hits your bank. After a while, you get kind of used to it, wouldn't you? Let's be honest. Some of you, if 4 weeks went by and it was like that, and then you got 48 grand or 45 grand, you'd be like, what happened? It's amazing how fast we've become conditioned in our own mindset. The reason why I bring it up to you is that some of you are already conditioned. Some of you conditioned yourself to expect less. Some of you talked yourself out and you say, I'm doing it for my family. That's my responsibility. I can't go just chase a dream. I can't just afford to go out and try to build Momentous. I've got a real job. I've got children and stuff. You've conditioned yourself. And you've got to shock yourself out, I'm telling you. Because life is short. It's passing us by. Every day counts. If you don't think so, try to miss one. Get it? Momentous is about the now. Going to work now so that later you can have choices.